Hey, hey, everybody. Welcome back. I got a nice sunny day here today. That's a big change. In fact, the sun just decided to come out just before going live here on YouTube. So I hope you're having a sunny day too. I titled this, I'm really struggling with how to talk about what's going on because it is so disgusting. It is so wrong. And it is, in a way, laughable. It is in a way laughable because it is so in your face messed up, and we the people are so frustrated, beyond frustrated. Everyone's living in fear, and that fear is holding you back from taking the actions that you need to take to correct the situation. Now, these First Amendment auditors, they're really doing a great job of exposing the the trespass and the treason and the beating and the abuse and the murders from these public servants with badges. Um, but there's got to be a better way to deal with the police, and that could be a key component in an answer to what we're looking for. And I've been round and round and round the block. And one of the things that I did, it's one of my Own Your Authority videos. I think it's 9 or 10. It's where I'm in. I want to talk with the Kalkaska County Sheriff. That man refused to meet with me time and time and time again. I went in there. I insisted. Still wouldn't meet with me. They eventually let me talk with a man there. They told me it'd be the undersheriff. Turned out to be the jail sergeant. Well, I was able to capture 20 minutes of that talk on my cell phone before I ran out of storage. And it ended in a perfect spot. You should watch that video because I proved to that jail sergeant that I can prosecute my cases constitutionally, and that I was there as the prosecutor. Somewhere, I don't know, an hour and a half into that talk with him, I had cases to serve that I didn't have the funds to serve, and I put it on him, and he pushed it back on me. When I left, he put his hands out like this, and he took the whole stack, everything. Now, a couple of things happened, and this is why I say talking and educating middle and lower law enforcement could be one of the key components for us to get this all turned around. That I wish I had the end of the video because I can remember responding as I'm leaving. As I'm leaving, it's the very, very end. I've been there for hours. I was there for a long time before they let me talk with somebody. I refused to leave. I don't know how long I was there. I might have been there 4-5 hours. But I spent about I think I spent about 2.5 hours talking with Jail Sergeant Joe Leach. And I can remember the way that I responded to something he said, and I wish I could tell you exactly what he said, but I responded like this: not in those courts, pointing over to the circuit court and district court here in the village of Kalkaska. Now, Mike Perot, the prosecuting attorney, was on that arrest order. arrest and detain. He was in the middle of his third term. Mike Perot resigned. That was June 28th. I was there. And by the end of July, Mike Perot was gone. Now, here's the key thing that is really kind of sunk in. It was several months later that the Kalkaska County Sheriff's Department had to move all their inmates to another location because they didn't have staff. Who was it that I talked with? It was the jail sergeant. Could it be that I educated that jail sergeant enough and he educated the other staff in there enough, and they wanted to see some change? They wanted to see some reform. They weren't going to put up with this treason and trespass anymore. And then the sheriff finds himself shorthanded on staff to run his prison, his jail. Could be. Now, there's another video I did recently where I went in to speak with the Kalkaska Village Police Department. I didn't ask to speak with anybody in specifically. I was just there to give my account of the criminal treason and trespass that's happening in the jurisdiction of the village. Because I'd come back full circle and I'm thinking, well, I've never had any interaction with the village police, and the jurisdiction of the village is his camp, right? And what's in the jurisdiction of the village, the land jurisdiction of the village? That sheriff's department, that district court, that circuit court, and that county clerk. So I start that YouTube live up. I make an introduction to introduce the man that's in front of me, and the YouTube feed is cut. Well, I pushed the button and it restarted, but we lost that first whole clip. So who I was talking with, we don't know, but it was a young man. It was a young man. Certainly not a seasoned tyrant. He was a young man. And about, I don't know, not very long, 4 minutes into that, he gets called away. And when he returns, the chief of police is with him. Chief Popa was also the village manager. And Chief Popa just gave me one rough way to go and told me to pack up my stuff and go. Now, I was caught a little bit by surprise with that. And my mind works more in a slow grind than a real snappy response. Some guys got just quick minds, and they'll just, and some things, because of experience, I can come up with the appropriate response in a snap. But what we're dealing with here is so evil and so demonic and just so wrong. It doesn't make sense. And therefore, it takes a lot of thought to figure things out. And I am convinced that see, at first I thought the chief of police didn't want known what I was going to say, because then his department would be obligated. That's what I was thinking. The more I think about it, I'm thinking the last thing he wanted me to do was be educating these lower to middle law enforcement policy officers. I think that's it. And I think that's key. From some of the talks that I've been involved in social media, there have been those in law enforcement and former law enforcement. And one time I made a comment that there's got to be a good percentage of middle to lower law enforcement that wants change, but they won't be whistleblowers because their lives will get destroyed. And the response that I got from these people in law enforcement or formerly in law enforcement is that the number is much higher than that it's at least 50%. So think about that. These First Amendment auditors are making a huge mistake, in my opinion, taking these tyrants into court, into their courts. Hey, we got Aaron here. Aaron Prince. I love you too, brother. We'll get these bastards with their own snares and manipulation of language. Well, we're going to get them with truth and fact, and we need our courts. A fella put out a video here. I just saw it for the first time early this morning. And he's saying the reason we got this trouble is because we have no courts. And then he goes on to tell us that there is a court of claims in Washington, D.C., just down from the White House. I think he said a red building. It's either a red building or next to a red building, but Court of Claims is apparently a common law court that is within the shores. But apparently it's in that foreign land, D.C. But it's a common law court for the people. He also went on to say that in order to, if you have a corrupt judge and you need to hold that judge accountable, those courts have been moved offshore to three locations. I think one's the Virgin Islands, Guam, and maybe Puerto Rico. So isn't that nice? All the common law courts are gone. He says you have no courts. I disagree with him. Now, I can't disagree with him about the Court of Claims or about the offshore courts. That sounds like it's true. And that's good information. That's information I didn't have. But for him to tell you that you have no courts, he's wrong. All you need is a piece of paper. You know, when you know how to work that piece of paper, that's your court. You have the postal courts, right? Also, who's in control of the military? You are. We the people. The military is under us. You got the military courts, right? So you have courts. What you don't have is enforcement. What you don't have is a functioning system. And that's what you need. That's what we need. That's what the world needs. These things they call courts are not courts. They're corporate institutions. They're basically a bank and a morgue and an enslavement torture facility operated by bar members, British agents from the British Accredited Registry. And if you're not a bar member, you can't practice law, which isn't law. It's legalese in their system. And why would you ever want to be in their system? It's a fraud. And it's all against you. The judge is a bar member. The prosecutor is a bar member. The defense attorney is a bar member. They're all working in concert against you. So think about that. Think about becoming like a First Amendment auditor. But rather than capturing these tyrants in their bad actions, and I'm not saying don't do that. I always have your camera ready. I always be ready to capture them. But rather than that being your focus, make your focus to be to educate them the way I educated that jail sergeant. The Kalkaska Sheriff's Department had to empty their jail because they didn't have the staff to run it. Think about that. Why did that happen? Could it be? I think it is, because I went in there and I spent that time talking with that man. You see, some of these gurus, when you're in the constitutional rabbit hole, you're going to hear, study your state's constitution. That's not bad advice. Better advice is study all the state's constitutions. And the older the constitution, the better, because they've had less chance for amendments where they put these things in there that are repugnant. And when it's repugnant, it must be abrogated. It cannot stand. It has to be gone, abrogated, gone. If it's repugnant, that means it's not in line with common law. It can't be there. It cannot be there. It's void on its face. So I collected, I think I've got 48 state constitutions. And they're on the services page of oralhealthwithcannabis.com in the documents section. And I put them all into one Word document because a Word document is word searchable. And what I learned was that 3 of the states spell out your right. Your rights don't come from your Constitution. Your constitutions cement your rights constitutionally. Your unalienable, God-given natural rights. They are cemented by the Constitution. They are in contract. They are in compact by the constitutions. You cannot have a right in one state that you do not have in another, can you? It's common law across the common land. And I wanted to know about prosecuting my own cases. When I word search that in that document, I find it in 3 states. 3 states discuss it. The language is different. But you can prosecute your own case. You can do it with aid of counsel, or you can have it done by an attorney. Felice Gertra, peace and love. Thanks for being here. Wow, it looks like we got 4 people here. I got a thumbs up. Whoa. I like getting thumbs up. Anybody have a question or a comment you want me to respond to? Go ahead and drop it in the live chat, because I think I'm just about ready to wrap it up here. I really think the message is you have to own your authority. We need to have our courts. So the thing to be asking middle and lower law enforcement is, where's my court? Where is your court? Explain to him that these buildings called courts, these circuit courts, district courts, federal courts, they're not courts. They're corporate entities. They're banks and morgues and enslavement camps for torture and abuse. To steal from you, rob from you, rape you, pillage you, have you in fear, have you in complete submission, and you've been so dumbed down, you don't know any better. I was. We all were. If you're not, it's because you woke up. You're one of the few. So this is simple. And that's what I try and do, is I always bring you that kiss, that constitutional kiss, which is keep it stupidly simple. Because if the stupid can get it, us dumbed down, we can own it. And when we own our authority, it's game over, baby. So think about it. Think about educating lower to middle law enforcement. Get them to explain to you where your court is. And you show them that everything they're pointing at ain't your court. That's a corporate bank. It's a morgue. It's for the all caps name. It's for torture, imprisonment, rape, theft, trespass. The list goes on and on and on, right? So let's see. Athletes says, I don't think speaking with low-level aficionados is useful, at least not during a stop or anything. Otherwise, I think it may make sense to open a. Yeah, you want to pick the location for sure. It's got to be a situation where you're going to be able to get their attention. So just walking in to the police station like I did, just walking into the sheriff's department like I did, and saying, I need to have a conversation. Your law enforcement, your policy enforcement, where is my court? Don't tell me that circuit court's my court. Don't tell me that district court's my court, because it's not. And here's why. Go in and explain it to them. All right, everybody. I love you. I'm fighting for you. I'll be back with more. Own your authority. Keep yourself safe. Nobody needs to fall on the sword here. We're going to fix this. If I got it, it's going to happen. All right. I'll be back.